new guidelines, you'll realize that those meters that do not measure accurately, like R160, are being phased out because we want drop-by-drop accurate billing. Because there are meters, if water is moving in at a very slow pressure, then they don't register anything. So we are balancing that to ensure it is not expensive, it is affordable, and also it is able to measure. Because if you can't measure, you can't manage. So the clarion call here is to ensure in AMI we are able to measure precisely the amount of water that is being consumed. So with that, I want to transit to the next phase and invite here, just briefly, with your permission, the title sponsors, just your value add. We don't have time. And we will start with Top Pipes, Kushal, the director of Top Pipe. Why don't we appreciate him as he comes? 3 minutes, Bwana Kushal.
Good afternoon. Let me start by thanking the Honorable Chief Guest CAS of Water, Governor of Uasin Gishu, MD Eldoas, CEO and Chairman of WASPA, all dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me today. All protocols observed. Top Pipe is Africa's leading manufacturer and supplier of HDPE, PPR+, PEXAL PEX, DWC, and spiral piping systems and solutions. Top Pipe systems are used in a broad range of applications from plumbing and construction, water supply, sanitation, to industrial use. Top Pipe provides also a lot of other solutions beyond just pipes themselves. We provide solutions for flow control, jointing, metering, which is obviously the topic of this conference, pumping and heating solutions from leading international partners such as Burmad, B-Meters, DAB, Lesso, Ritmo, Rothenberger, and Valvotubi. Top Pipe manufactures the various pipes at its manufacturing facility in Athi River, Nairobi. With the ability to produce pipes from 16 mm diameter to 1200 mm diameter, Top Pipe boasts the largest piping manufacturing facility, both in terms of capacity and range, for East Africa. All pipes are designed and manufactured to meet the harsh climate-related requirements in Africa, making them suitable for most applications for all of you. Being a part of the Tiling Carpet Center group of companies, Top Pipe is dedicated to contributing to the future of our beautiful country by manufacturing products that are environmentally friendly and providing solutions to help in the battle against non-revenue water. Thank you for having us as your sponsor for this conference, and we hope you enjoy your time here. Asante sana.
Thank you. Safaricom.
The chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You know, we just had lunch. Good afternoon. It's an honor and a privilege for us to be here as Safaricom. At the core of what we do is transforming lives. And water is one of those things that has a lot of impact and is key. They say water is life. So over and above what we bring today, which is the strength of our network, these conversations are revolving around smart technology. You know, it cannot be smart if it can't do what? If it can't communicate. So we've invested in a very vast network that covers the country. Our payment gateway today, M-Pesa, is enjoyed by a lot of us here, and thank you so much for the support. And over and above that, now as a technology company, being very deliberate in solving industry-specific problems. So as we participate in this conference, we look forward to collaborate, to learn, and I want to challenge us. let this not be another conference where we have a lot of engagements and meet here again next year, having not have moved. So it's good that we've moved from 47 to 45. Let us be very deliberate and intentional to form partnerships that will enable us to reduce that NRW even further. And most important, pick one thing and be deliberate about doing, so that next year when we come for the 7th, we'll be assessing the gains that you've made. Thank you so much for having us, and we look forward to a great engagement.
Another round of applause, please. Guide me, if that podium is to be used, will the person still be visible? Okay. Now, let me invite the CEO of National Bank of Kenya. This is the Mr. Peter Kioko is the acting managing director. Kindly, one round of applause as he comes. And congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
I learned it through the media. And I learned another thing that, where is our chairman? He has stepped out. That you are very close to my chairman.
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you. You can
yes,
proceed.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And on that same note, just confirm NBK is indeed your trusted friend as WASPA, as our customers and partners. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you, thank you. All protocols observed. On behalf of National Bank and my colleagues, I'm here to declare that we are committed. We've demonstrated our commitment to work with yourselves in tackling this huge opportunity. I see it as an opportunity for us. We are in a generation where, and I think everybody who is here has a story about water. Maybe in your time, you had the challenge, and you are seated here where you have an opportunity to do something about the challenge that you faced when you grew up. Whether it was looking for water for your, for your cows, or for your own sustenance, or for your own sanitation works. And of course, I think we all grew up, there's a generation where it was mandatory for people to dig toilets. Anybody remember that? Come on, guys. Yes, you were arrested in this country at some point back if there were no toilets. Yeah? So I'm just trying to play it back, so we can talk about SDG 6 and Article 43, but it is a powerful emotion that we have all experienced. I invite you, you have an opportunity to make a difference. Yeah? So we call it non-revenue water, we call it cheaper and accessible water and sanitation for our people, but really that's what it means. We have an opportunity. As NBK, we are up to the task. We have the right partners, we have the resources, we have the capacity. We are here to work with you. Thank you, and enjoy the session.
Why don't we appreciate the CEO? I thought you would take 5 minutes. I realized you took 3 minutes and you ambushed me. My apologies for that. I want to invite Gossoft and the CEO's representative kindly step forward. As soon as he's done, then we can have the representative of Doshi. And let's sanitize that microphone. I don't know. The sanitizer is down there. For your information, COVID protocols are still in place. We are supposed to be wearing masks, I'm not sure. We had that when we were outside the country. I just came this morning. The things are tight in this country, but it's important that we have our masks on, unless you're speaking like me. And we maintain social distance. Anyway, so let us observe. Sanitize, have the mask. It is important. We don't ignore. Kindly proceed.
Our guest of honor, WASPA, partners, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. My name is Engineer Joseph Kefue. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at GoSoft. I'm representing our CEO, Christine. GoSoft is a technology and engineering firm. And we deploy our intellectual property in the water distribution ecosystem. We deploy advanced metering infrastructure in water loss management, in leakage detection, in metering, and in collecting end-to-end data that's important and that passes through the distribution systems. Our platforms provide real-time consumption information, real-time alerts and notifications, including fraud detection. Ultimately, what we do with our solutions is that we create an enterprise that is adaptive. Adaptive because change is the constant. It's only those organizations that actually adapt that survive. Ultimately, the value you get from the adaptive enterprise will be simplicity in the way you view your data, agility in the speed with which you respond to concerns that come up, and value in terms of customer satisfaction and increased revenues. We look forward to engaging with you a lot more in the coming days as we see how best we can create synergies between ourselves and your teams. Thank you very much, and thank you, WASPA, for having us here. Asante.
Doshi?
The pipe. Apart from that, there are theft of water. And last but not least, there is an inaccuracy on the water meter. I hope in this forum we are going to cover all the entire topics, and in future we are going to result the proper water supply to each and every doorstep of Kenya. There was a saying, or you can say that there was a statement which I always remember, that every water counts, and really every water counts for the humanity. Thank you so much.
One more round of applause. Now, we are moving into the plenary address on the promotion of good practices. And Eldoret Water will be doing a presentation for 15 minutes in the interest of time. In fact, in international conferences, you only do for 7 minutes. So 15 minutes is more than adequate. You can fly for 24 hours, you go to Brazil, but you do a presentation of 7 minutes. So that is standard. So it's nothing out of ordinary. In fact, we are fair if we give 15. So the role of smart metering in water loss management, Eldo's case study, we have seen it, and we want now them to take us into the nitty-gritty. What were the challenges that were there? How have they been able to be where they are now, so that we are able also to see if that size of the jacket fits us, then we pick it and put it on. If it doesn't fit you, you cut it into size. So Eldoret, can we have Mr. Julius Lagat? Waziri karibu. Acha nikuweke one seat here. Let me put one seat here for you. Let me pull it for you. No problem. We'll arrange. We'll fit. We'll fit. Wacha tukuchukulie. Our technical team, Paul, can you assist Lagat to project? Assist him to project. And as they do plan to do that, after that presentation, we are going to invite panelists here. And the first one to come, don't come now, I'm just putting you on notice, Mr. Eric Towet, Information and Communication Technology Manager, WASPA, Bomet Water. Where is he? Eric? Is Eric in the room? Thank you very much. Be on standby. Mr. Elisha Karisa, all the way from Malindi Water. Thank you very much, Elisha. Mr. Jerry Teka Ochola. Let me repeat, Mr. Jerry Teka. You know, the problem is that we had a PS called Teco. So Teco comes easily. Forgive me for that, for a long time. So it is Mr. Jerry Teka Ochola, Safaricom lead, IoT. We are in the Internet of Things. It's not different when we are talking about AMI. And it is simple. You have your phone. You can play this music on your woofer. You can play it on your Android TV. That is the Internet of Things. You have connectivity of most of these gadgets. So what we are talking about gadgets that speak into each other or to each other. So Teka, where is Teka? Fantastic, you're here. Then finally we have, let me know when the presentation is up, in the interest of time. Because I think we have deployed robust technology in this room. That should not fail. You can see everywhere we have technology. So we are in IoT. Then lastly, we have Mr. Mihayo, Chief Technology Officer from GoSoft. You will stand in for him. So that panel is complete. So I'll not introduce you. I'll just tell that we need now to transit to the panel discussion, and you step forward. Fantastic. Bwana Lagat, you have 15 minutes. Kindly let's appreciate him.
My name is Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company. So I'll quickly take you through our experience. Can I just talk to the number? All right. Quickly, I'll talk about the components of smart metering. And like it has been said by some speakers ahead of me, is that smart metering, you have the meter in the field and you have the utility. And therefore, when you have an infrastructure that enables communication both ways, to and from the meter, then that infrastructure is what we are calling the advanced metering infrastructure. So we have the meter itself, and then we have the communication network. We have the system of handling the meter data in terms of acquisition, and you are from Kipkorgot and Kenyari, and I think you saw some meters, and an explanation was provided in terms of how those meters are transmitting information from the meter to a concentrator, and therefore to the system that then does analysis. So we have, in terms of acquisition, we have different technologies, and I think Safaricom have mentioned about the narrowband technology. That is what we have also deployed in one of our setup. And then we have the meter data management system. This is where the information from the meter now is stored. It will then be analyzed, like the CEO of WASPA mentioned earlier, that then you get information, and then you can make decision on that information. Now, in terms of the infrastructure itself, you have the home neighborhood where you have the meters. Those meters will then be having a concentrator, the network neighborhood that listens to what the meters are transmitting, collect that information into a concentrator, which is what we have in Kipkorgot. That information then is transmitted to a cloud server through a file transfer protocol. Once we have that information in a meter management system, then what do we do with it? And in this case, what we do is we collect meter reading, the anomalies the meter is reporting, and a number of anomalies are reported by the meter. One of them is if the meter misbehaves, like for example, the meter is reversing, or the meter registers that there is some tampering, or in terms of analysis, like a pattern now that has been created for a meter, you do consume a certain volume of water per day. So if you go beyond that, then that can also become some information that is necessary to be followed up. Like for example, what then happened, or if the meter is no longer transmitting any reading, like the zero consumption for a while, then you need to do, you need to intervene. So all that information is collected, put in the meter management system, and then finally what we need to do with that information is we have to create a bill. And we create a bill once a month for purposes of invoicing our clients for water consumed. So that is done once a month. But then in terms of reading, we are getting readings on daily basis. And what we are doing with this particular infrastructure is, initially what we used to do is we would send meter readers to go and read meters at the end of the month. And therefore, what happens in between, within the 30 days, you may not know. The only time you'll be able to do that analysis is at the end of the month. With this advanced metering infrastructure, then you have readings on daily basis, but then you do billing once a month. Now, the other thing that happens is that when meter readers, for example, are reading these meters, they will take a number of days to read a particular meter within a certain range of place. And with all the challenges that comes with it. For example, you are not able to reach all the meters. You are only able to read probably 80% of the meters. The 20%, if the time comes, then you are forced to do what? To do an estimate of a bill. And this is normally what generates customer complaints, because then you are doing an average of a certain period of time. And then, so from the meter management system, we have the billing system. That is where the billing now is done on monthly basis. Now, the journey in terms of LDOA's journey in as far as deployment of this metering infrastructure is concerned, is that I will talk about our journey from 2017. And in 2017, we deployed Dell Smart Metering Solution, which is what you saw at Kipkorgot. We have 700 meters there, domestic meters, 500 of which are volumetric, and we have 200 that are multi-jet. And we have also 2 bulk meters in that environment. Now, those meters were deployed in the year 2018, and that environment is a new site. When we got a new source of water, then we distributed water in that particular site. So the type of pipes that are also used, deployed in that particular environment are the HTB type of pipes. And we have realized in that particular environment, we have NRW of between the highest ever recorded is 7% in that particular environment. And we have 1,500 meters in that area, 700 of which are smart meters, and the rest are not smart. And then we have another, and then in terms of technology, and as far as that environment is concerned, is we deployed concentrators that between the meter and the concentrator, then we are using the radio frequency. So the challenges with of course, that environment is you have to install you have to set up the infrastructure in terms of that network. So you have to have concentrators that listens to meters that are within a radius of up to 500 meters, depending on barriers from which where the concentrator is. Now, in 2020, we deployed ultrasonic meters, what you saw in Kenyari. And for that particular environment, in as far as network communication is concerned, we are now riding on the infrastructure of the network, the public network service providers. In this case, we are using the narrowband IoT. The narrowband IoT means that the meter itself has a SIM card, just like you have your phone. Now, that SIM card is able to transmit information using the infrastructure of Safaricom. In this case, if you are using Safaricom SIM card. If you are using any other service provider SIM card, then it will utilize the network of that particular service provider. In this case, we are utilizing the Safaricom service provider. So we have 214 meters in that particular environment. We also have deployed 2 bulk meters. The purpose of deploying the bulk meters is, of course, so that you are able to measure the amount of water that gets into that particular environment. And then on daily basis, we are able to compare the amount of water that has been distributed in that particular estate against the consumptions by the consumer meters. When you do the comparison, then you are able to determine the water balance bar on daily basis. Previously, then we were doing it on a monthly basis. So we are able to address issues that comes up in as far as analysis of meter reading is concerned on daily basis, unlike previously when we were doing on a monthly basis. Then we have the Euromark ultrasonic meters. These are the meters that we have deployed in our production sites. And we have also identified some of our large consumers, and we've deployed these meters. Now, for the ultrasonic meters from Euromark, we get information through email. So they also have a SIM card. So they will send an email or they send an SMS, and that we get it on daily basis. But then the analysis that you will get is on hourly basis. And then finally, we have the DMA, district meters. Now, this environment that we say that we deployed ultrasonic meters, we are now deploying ultrasonic meters for the DME, for the entire LDOAS network. What is this going to help us? Unlike the situation that we are doing now, where we are comparing all the consumer meters in terms of consumption at the end of the month, and comparing against production for the whole month, what this will help us is that we get an NRW of the entire network. But with the deployment of the district meters, then we are able to narrow down and identify which particular site in terms of our infrastructure, water infrastructure, that will then be registering the highest volume of NRW, and it will help us to do what? To then move in and use targeted approach in terms of dealing with the leaks and busts. Unfortunately, you can't see the slides. The other thing that the district meter, I mean the bulk meter, I mean the AMI is helping us to achieve is that we then can be able to, like for example, if you have a bulk meter and water is flowing into an estate, for example, then you are able to measure and determine the consumption patterns throughout the 24 hour. And we are expecting that at some point within the 24 hour, we should be expecting some no consumption at some point. Consistent, probably they normally say night flow measurement. Now, what happens in this case is that if you have a situation where there is consumption that is consistent, and we can see that on the graphs, unfortunately we can't display, is it tells you that is possibly the amount of water that you could be losing continuously over 24 hours. So that when people are utilizing water, then you see as such, and then it comes back to that level. And when you have a situation like that, then you narrow down that particular environment and try to identify using the equipments that we saw outside there, leak detections, and you are able to identify quickly where the leaks are, and you are able to address them. Finally, the challenges in terms of this technology deployment, we have high cost of deployment. We have the issue, like I mentioned, about the physical barriers in terms of weak signal communication.
Julius, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. And then challenges of, like I mentioned, you remember we have a number of systems that are integrated, and many a times those systems are provided by different vendors. So you have complexity in terms of dealing with multiplicity of vendors, and the issue also of not having that standard interoperability between systems. We don't have a standard for the meters, and therefore this one, what happens is we are likely to get into the risk of vendor lock-in, so that if you have one vendor supplying meters, then you have a challenge getting another vendor, because then you have to have multiple systems. And then of course the issue of limited coverage in terms of transmitters. Thank you.
Why don't we appreciate Lagat? Kindly take a seat as you are joined by the other panelists. The panelists that are introduced, kindly join us here. I also want to recognize the presence of Engineer Festus Ngeno. He's the chair of the CEC caucus who has joined. He can just wave. Makofi kwa engineer. We also have Simon Kemei, who is the chief officer in charge of water in this great county. Seemingly has stepped out, but we can recognize him in absentia. Fantastic. Now, I want to make a statement here is that we had requested for presentations earlier, and we have deployed the best IT system in the room. It's not boasting, it's the truth. But if you delay, you don't bring your presentation, it may not be compatible with our system. So if you are a presenter, this is your information for tomorrow. Ensure you bring it earlier, otherwise you will be disappointed, the way we have been disappointed now. So let us get earlier. We gave a communication 30 days earlier. We want seamless transition. Having said that, let us move to the case of Malindi. Karisa, how has Malindi adopted the smart metering? I would want you to speak from the chair where you are seated there. I don't want you to stand. Just from there, you can discuss in 3 minutes about smart metering. When you talk smart metering in Malindi, what is it about?
Good evening. I highly thank you, WASPA, for the invitation that I received, that I can share something about smart metering in Malindi. In Malindi, smart metering was introduced in the year 2022. And this is a post-paid system. It is a prepaid, system, unlike that one used by our friend, which is a post-paid. So the main aim, that we embraced this technology was about commercial losses. I'm heading a DMA in Watam area. There are actually 2 DMAs. That is Watam North and Watam South. Watam North is hydraulically isolated, and we managed to reduce NRW up to 24%. And we could anticipate the rest of the water loss was contributed by commercial side. So we thought of using smart meters, but we couldn't have that ability to do that because technology is expensive. So we partnered.
Hold on, Bwana Karisa.
Yes.
Let us recognize the presence of the Deputy Governor of this great county, His Excellency Daniel Chepno, the DG of Uasin Gishu County. You can wave, sir. I can ask you with a lot of humility to join the chief guest here, please. DG. Wapi makofi ya Deputy Governor. One more round of applause, please. Bwana DG, hatuna vuvuzela hapa. Ningeuliza, wapi vuvuzela ya DG? Thank you very much. You can proceed.
So Mawasco partnered with City Taps, who are the developers of the technology, and Untapped, who are the financiers. The project rationale, why we entered into this aspect of smart metering. As I've already told you earlier, it was because of the aspect of water loss, especially on the side of apparent losses. And also cash flow. We noticed that there were some debts which were not, we were not able to recover. So this aspect of smart metering could help us to recover the debts. And also the issue of accuracy in remitting readings, meter readings. We thought manual work had a lot of errors. So going for the smart metering could bring some efficiency in data handling.
Bwana Karisa, hold it there. I'll come back to you. You have given us the rationale. You will give us the results. Now, I want to move to Bomet. Recently, through a partnership with City Taps and Untapped, you deployed at least 300 meters which were installed. Is there any benefit of adopting smart metering that can be shared by the audience from the Bomet experience?
Thank you very much, our moderator. And thank you very much. I think I'm now audible enough. Thank you very much, our moderator, the CS, the dignitaries present, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Eric Towet, as it has been introduced. I'm from Bomet Water Company, and as it has rightly been put, we have deployed more than 300 smart meters at Bomet. So our project started in December last year, that is 2021, and it is an ongoing project. And the rationale for us considering adoption of smart metering was, that is one, to try and cut down on NRW. As you know, that NRW, in the long run, eats into our revenue. Secondly, we wanted to ensure effective billing and also effective revenue enforcement. And then the third one was to ensure efficient working procedure to ensure that our staff become more effective in the field. And then lastly, we ventured into this venture to also try and leverage on technology to foster effective customer service. And so far, with the deployment of 300 meters, there is a difference. There is a difference, and I believe that we are making progress. Thank you.
Transiting to Safaricom, Bwana Ochola. Safaricom is a multi-billion shilling corporate in this country. The turnover of utilities is around 23 billion, according to impact issue number 14. What is it that you are looking for in the water sector in terms of venturing into smart technology? What is the drive?
Thank you for that question. So as an organization, we are typically known as a telecommunication company. That has been our history, and that is how the business has been able to grow, and then mobile money payments. So as part of our strategic vision, we are working towards transitioning into a technology company. So with that then, it means we have to begin asking ourselves, what then do we need to do? What are these specific areas that we need to get into? What are these industries that we need to begin serving that will enable us transition from a telco into a technology company? So ICT becomes one of those critical business lines we focus on. And the reason why we are here, IoT, continues to drive that focus. So as we transition into a telco, we look at the ethos of our company, which is transforming lives. And water is, as I said, is one of those things that we need to participate in to ensure that we work very closely with the water service providers and other key stakeholders within the industry to reduce this challenge of non-revenue water. As my colleague said, reducing that challenge does quite a lot, and that is really at the core of why we are here. Number one, you produce revenue that was not there for the WASP. Number two, we are able now through the water service provider to provide clean and quality water, make it more accessible, because now we have the resources to invest and cover a bigger potential. As he said, the issue around efficiency that smart technology then brings to the table. You are able now to drive those costs much lower, which in turn creates a buffer in terms of revenue that was not there. So as we work collaboratively with the different players within the water sector, with the water service providers, with the financiers in the room to bridge some of these gaps, we strongly believe that if we leverage technology, then we should be able to bring this issue down and create those benefits. And most important, customer experience. What experience then does the customer have downstream from a water service provider's perspective? Thank you.
Thank you. Well put. I know you also rely on the strength of your network that is scattered across the country. I transit to GoSoft. What is it that GoSoft is offering in terms of smart metering or IoT that is different with that is in the market that WSP should look at GoSoft?
Thank you, Anthony. GoSoft has been building software platforms and devices that run on the NB-IoT network. The NB-IoT network is available everywhere because it's dependent on MNO, that is Safaricom. And therefore, once the devices have embedded NB-IoT devices, they can be able to transmit continuously and in real time. So what we do with our meters is that we add sensors on those meters that measure flow rate, volume of water passing through, pressure of water, temperature of water, signal strength, battery voltage. And all these items, all these metrics are important because they indicate the overall health of those devices. We then use the NB-IoT network to have that information transmitted onto a platform. Beyond the domestic meters, our meters are all ultrasonic. We also have postpaid valve-enabled meters. What that means is that whereas the meters are postpaid, should you get in a scenario where you feel somebody's bill has gone beyond a particular threshold, you can actually use the valve technology to actually switch it off. Equally, should the pressure that's flowing on the pipes exceed a particular threshold, you first of all get alerts and notifications. Then beyond that, you can actually switch off a meter that is valve enabled. So we are bringing those kind of adaptations into the marketplace to just make sure that the WSPs spend more time on what is core to them, and that is customer satisfaction, customer growth, and ultimately increased revenues from the infrastructure and from the people that work in those environments.
Thank you. Maybe I escalate it to the audience. If there are 1, 2, 3 questions to the panel, then we close. Question number 1. There are no questions from the audience. Question number 1, I'll come to you. Number 2, I can take 2 or 3, then we close. Number 2, now we are saying gender balance. Power is taken, is not given. Take it. This is the opportunity. Where is gender? Great. Number 3. Let's start. Number 1. Kindly give the microphone. So there's another microphone here. It can be given to number 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Bwana CEO. I'm Conside Asgado, Mary Water. I have a question, but it's a point of a concern. I have noticed that maybe with the Rondoret, we have the consumer meters, which are smart meters, and when you look at the master meter itself, it is a mechanical one. Do we have the big meters, the people who are supplying the meters, maybe they set taps? Do we have the big size meters which can be installed instead of mechanical meters? Because with the case of Rondoret, I have noticed that they are using the mechanical meter, master meter, and then at the other hand, they are using the consumer meters as a smart meter.
So Eldoret, pick that up. It's coming for you. MD Nyawasco.
Okay, thank you, CEO. Good afternoon. I'm Engineer Peter Kahudu, MD Nyawasco. It's just a clarification from both Eldoret and Bomet. Now that they have given a bit of challenges, probably maybe they would have given the conclusion for maybe those companies who have not started on smart metering. Thank you.
Number 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Ruto from National Bank, and my question is to Julius of Eldoasco. And I just wanted to know, with the smart metering across the areas that you've mentioned, how is the revenue collection? Has it improved significantly, or what is the quantum of increase? Thank you.
Thank you. Eldoret, give it to Eldoret. Kindly answer the questions that have been directed to you as you give also your parting shot. If possible, in 60 seconds. If possible.
Thank you. I think there is a question that came about the bulk meters that is mechanical. But I want to confirm that, during purchase, you put the specifications of the meter that is required. So at the point that we were doing acquisitions in 2018, those were the meters that were installed. If you look at the ultrasonic meters, they came in the year 2020. So it's actually dependent on the specifications. But I think the meter suppliers may be confirming tomorrow. But they have, those ultrasonic meters are also available across the various sizes. On the question of revenue collection, on the area that has, we have smart meters, I would want to confirm that what the first thing that happened in that particular area is part of what I was even presenting in terms of the slides, is there was an improvement, number one, in terms of even the consumption. And what normally happens is when you are doing manual meter reading, you do read meters over a period of like 10 days. But when you are doing smart meters, it is a single day, because you are now saying end of the month. So when you are issuing bills, it goes in a single day. And that enhances revenue collections in terms of when you have accurate billing, where there are no questions. And you see now this, even the consumers are able to read even their own meters on a daily basis. And you can even give them the analysis of their consumption on a daily basis. So that gives them confidence. And when they have no issue with the bill, especially when it is actual bill, not estimate, then you expect revenue to immediately, enhance. So over a period of 6 months, we have about 180 meters that we did analysis. We got an excess of 4,000 cubic meters when you compare a similar period before the deployment of the AMI.
Okay, in Malindi, concerning the master meters or bulk meters, city taps were able to help us to install data loggers on top of the smart meters that we use, and they were able to transmit the data or the flow, the discharge of water, and also you could be able even to get night flows of that line, which has that data logger. And also about the revenues, the City Cloud is able to integrate the customer dates with the current payment schedule of the customer. So we had a debt of 6 million of that area. And believe me, now it is reduced to 1.2 there. So we have gained about 4 million out of the debt that we had. And also, the continuous collection, the daily collection, is not tagged with the season or the duration of the month. You see, revenue or income of the customer is direct proportional to the days of salary that they get. So, but with this prepaid system or smart system, the payment is continuous. So there is continuous revenue collection, and that makes the very much important or advantageous to us who do smart metering.
Thank you. You've answered that question very well. What the results are in Malindi. Just parting shot, 30 seconds, starting from Gosoft. Kindly share the microphone. That's sanitized, bring it.
My parting shot would be that the solutions that we continue to provide from GOST are solutions that are cutting edge, that have got a direct impact on the day-to-day operations of what we call adaptive organizations. We continue to engage further with our R&D department and be able to pick concerns that may not have been captured in the current solutions and be able to build on those kind of solutions. For instance, we are working on capability to be able to configure a meter remotely using SMS. So we have an R&D department that continuously researches to make sure that we give you the best solution out there to build on your convenience, to build on simplicity, agility, and value, so that you can do, as a WSP, what you are best capable of doing, and that is supplying water. Thank you.
Bomet.
Okay, thank you very much. So my parting shot would be, I think I would prefer to look at the impact of smart metering quite holistically, very fast. That is starting with cost recovery. You know, with our experience, we've realized that you can be able to reduce the amount of resources that you use. For example, in revenue collection. In revenue collections, traditionally you have to send someone to go and do revenue enforcement, and then you also have to send someone to go and read a meter. But in this case, you send none. On NRW, maybe a sticking point here is that it makes it easy to track down vices. You know, there are these vices that result in NRW, for example, water theft and a number of vices. So you can be able to study the consumer behavior and be able to make a decisive action in no time. And then lastly, on Propua, is that you can be able to, it can be deployed easily to those low-income areas, whereby it allows the consumers to purchase even the smallest of amount in credit. For even 10 shillings, they can be able to get water. So that way, it can be able to serve the Propua community or the low-income consumers effectively. So on the challenges that we've had for Bomet, we've had a challenge on integration. That is on the integration with our ERP. It is still a work in progress because what we are operating is that it's like we are serving in two different infrastructures. And then we also have challenges on, we anticipate that there could be challenges on meter security because these meters are quite expensive, and sometimes you don't get the full confidence of deploying these meters in even some places that are not considered to be safe. Yeah, so I think that is it, and thank you very much.
Finally, Safaricom.
So for AMI, you need communication. And we have invested in a vast network that literally covers the entire country. So as we transition into AMI, we are able to ensure that all those meters across the country are able to communicate back to your various platforms. Over and above that, we've entered into a strategic partnership with Earthview Management Limited that now enables us to provide end-to-end water management solutions. So we can do the whole stack from devices, connectivity, platform, applications, and work with you where need be for specific customizations that are relevant to your different needs and your different businesses. So we are looking forward to engaging with you in this conference, and we are hungry and have an appetite to solve the water challenges in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you give a round of applause to the panelists? So before they leave, you've seen that there's the element of efficiency coming in terms of collection efficiency. Human contact is reduced, which is a big challenge. You've seen it with the driver's license. We would camp at Times Towers for 8 weeks. But now that is digital, it's very easy. You get it in a few minutes, and that is where we are transiting to. Those staff can be deployed, as the case of Malindi, in other areas, and they can manage the data, so the fear of losing employment is not there. But it has to be handled well in terms of bringing the employees on board to understand what is happening, that they are not going to lose their jobs. Also, you are able to understand the behavior of a customer, because you can see how the meter behaves. You have the data. So it is easier to tell if the employee goes 8 to 5, it will tell you there is no consumption. Or if there are people who remain, it will tell you at night the consumption. So it is easier to be able even to know. So those are some of the challenges, but the benefits. We have had also the challenges, and I think we'll delve into this discussion more for the purposes of the chief guest. We wanted just to set the climate that AMI is nothing that is new in this country. It has been adopted, and Eldoret have demonstrated that with a number of DMAs, and you have seen Malindi, you have seen also Bomet, and the other utilities here who have not spoken here, but there is an uptake. So kindly applaud them as they take their leave. So I know for those who delayed and you didn't have lunch, don't worry, we have a plan for you. We told you food is plenteous. After this, we are going to have our meal. I've not taken. Then there's a cocktail, a cock with a tail. So don't be in a hurry. Kayamba Africa are in the house. They have just gone to refuel. Kayamba wamerudi. Are they back? Or they are refueling, but they are here. So just hold on. We are transiting to the last phase. Then we can have a break. Then we'll come back for the cocktail. So we want to move, chief guest, with your permission, to the next phase, which is welcome address. And at this point, kindly give me a sanitized mic. Think if they are there, yeah, I would request the host MD, Mr. Peter B. Watt, Managing Director of Eldowas, to step forward and give his welcome address. Where is the round of applause, please? So in the interest of time, I know you are the host. Please try to keep it short.
Thank you, Bwana CEO. Waziri Dr. Andrew Toimur, Deputy Governor Daniel Chebno, Wasingishu County. We have Chairman WASPA, all protocols observed. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome all of you this afternoon for the 6th edition of the WASPA Water Laws Management Conference. I would like to begin by thanking you for making time to join us. Special appreciation to all the partners involved in the planning and those who have worked hard to make this possible. The conference comes at a time when access to clean and adequate water is still an impediment to healthy lives, both locally and regionally. The benefits of having access to clean and safe drinking water can only be fully realized when there is also access to improved sanitation, adherence to good hygiene practices. Beyond the immediate, obvious advantages of people being hydrated and healthier, access to water and sanitation hygiene has profound wide socioeconomic impacts. The fact that these components form the subject of dedicated targets within the Sustainable Development Goals, number 6, which talks about clean water and sanitation for all, is a testament to their fundamental role in public health and therefore in the future of sustainable development in our hometown as well as in our country. Indeed, access to safe drinking and water and sanitation are human rights as recognized in 2010 Constitution. For universal fulfillment of these rights to become a reality, we will need the right systems, well-resourced, capable institutions, delivering service and changing behavior in resilient and appropriate ways. This forum presents an important opportunity for all the stakeholders in the water sector to share good practices, deliberate on prevailing challenges in the sector, while formulating strategies to leverage advanced metering infrastructure to accelerate realization of Sustainable Development Goal number 6. As the Kenya most customer-centric company, Eldowa's journey into the advanced metering infrastructure began in 2017, as you have heard earlier. After experiencing losses as high as 49%, comprising of physical and commercial losses, the company decided to embark on smart metering with an aim to address commercial losses and bounce back from the reduced non-revenue water. A successful pilot was carried out, as you heard earlier, out for 4 smart meter readings systems that derived some key features, including recording and storing consumption volumes, dates and times, as well as alarm in case of meter tampering, reversing meters, abnormal consumption, and dry pipe. To mention a few, in the area you had earlier on, Kipkorgot area, we deployed 700 mechanical single jet domestic and 1 bulk DMA meter and 2 sub DMA bulk meters to pilot DL smart metering solution. Separately, we also piloted Upepo smart metering at Kenya Re Estate, where we deployed 207 ultrasonic solution meters and 2 bulk meters. Others piloted were, Euromark electromagnetic meters and, Spire ultrasonic meters. After a successful piloting, we focused on adoption of smart metering on large consumer meters with water consumption of 300 meters cubed and above, and we have never regretted the decision. We replaced 40 number mechanical meters with the ultrasonic flow meters, and this has led to an increase in billing by about 60,000 meters cubed in a span of 3 months. As you can see, the implementation of advanced metering infrastructure has significantly enhanced metering and billing accuracy and positively contributed to enhanced revenue, less consumer complaints, and most importantly, the reduction in water losses. As a result of this, we have rolled out district meter areas approach, coming up with 18 DMS in reduction of non-revenue water in the entire service area using smart metering. And we want to say thank you to Earthview, because that's the company which is helping us in terms of ensuring that we create the 18 DMS. On another front, we have realized NRW is also a consequence of low quality technology supply by our dealers. We would like those interested to partner with Eldowas and the water sector at large to ensure always supply of high quality materials and technology with a view to guarantee long-lasting investments in water and sanitation services by WSPs. In fact, I would like to request that we can come up with a guideline, both on ensuring that we have high-quality products, at the same time on the financial model, because that is where the rubber meets the road. In our experience, one of the challenges we found out was that we need to have a smart approach in terms of deploying AMIs, where you focus on, the size of the consumer. Because sometimes you might invest in a consumer who only consumes, let's say, 200 units or 300 units, and the smart meter is about 12,000 or 13,000. So the return on investment might take a while. So I think we need a guideline so that it can really help us on progressing to the next level. In Eldoret, we have a huge business opportunity in this regard, and that is why I think that guideline will really help us. As Eldowas, we pride ourselves to be the company that provides adequate quality water and sanitation services efficiently for all, and we recognize that our success and the community progress are mutually interconnected. We are also in the business of promoting local content in our business model, so that many Kenyan companies can enter the space of water and sanitation. We want to urge that 40% of all procurement in water and sanitation to be given to local companies. This is the passion we have. I've actually spoken to the chamber, and I hope soon we can sign an MOU through WASPA with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce to see how can our local entrepreneurs be engaged in this business as we seek to advance our country. Eldowas is therefore a proud partner, as I conclude, of this conference because it provides a platform for meaningful conversations in alignment with the government Vision 2030 that we as a company greatly supports. With those few remarks, I thank you for your participation today and look forward to an interactive session as we discuss the innovative strategies that we can leverage to accelerate realization of sustainable prosperity for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, our host MD, for creating an enabling environment for this conference to be successful. I want at this juncture to invite CPA Michael Mangeli, who is the chairman of WASPA, and at the same time Managing Director, Mavoko Water and Sewerage Company, to come and make his welcome address. A round of applause as he comes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Our chief guests, CAS, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Dr. Moore, His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of this great county, Uasin Gishu, Honorable Chemno, the Chairman of the caucus, Engineer Ngeno, present, the CEO of Water Sector Trust Fund, Mr. Ombaye, CEO of WASREB, Mr. Keter, the Chief Officer in charge of Water, Minister of Water and Sanitation in this county of Uasin Gishu, CEOs of various institutions present here led by the CEO of National Bank, OSMD and OET, MDs present, chairmen of various water utilities and board members who are here, and all the delegates, good evening. On behalf of WASPA, family and organizing partners of the 6th WASPA conference, on behalf of the WASPA family and our organizing partners of the 6th Water Conference, namely Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, County Government of Uasin Gishu, and OET, the latter two are also the host of the various institutions. That is, on my behalf, I'm delighted to welcome you to this 6th edition of the WASPA Water Loss Management Conference. The founder of the members of this gallant association almost 20 years ago had a great dream of ensuring that WSPs are strengthened to provide sustainable water and sanitation services to the citizens of this country in line with Article 43 of our Constitution 2010 and SDG number 6 that guarantees access to safe and safely management sanitation. On the national front, water reforms driven by the Water Act 2002, which has since been replaced by the Water Act 2016, has immediately contributed to significant progress against the sector, which include but not limited to, number one, regulations of the water services that increase the turnover of WSPs from 5 billion when they were formed the year 2003 to the current 23 billion, and reinventing the WFC's revenues. Nonetheless, we are also grappling with some of unprecedented challenges of our time that include but not limited to high water losses from our reclamation systems, estimated at 47%. If the allowable allowances of 25% that is accepted in the sector is factored, the water losses amount to 11.6 billion of monies lost, and if guaranteed volumes, the amount of water losses is adequate to supply the city of Nairobi, whose demand on a daily basis is 800,000 cubic meter. These are national disaster that requires to be confronted in equal and unprecedented measures. Consequently, WASP has been involved in several activities that contribute to effective water loss management, such as establishing a non-revenue benchmark reduction platform for the last 1 decade to facilitate peer-to-peer and collective learning among WSPs. And I'm happy to report that it was established in Gishu. Hiring of non-revenue water management equipment to WSPs at affordable rates, such as ultrasonic flow meters, among many others. Training of WSPs by our non-revenue water specialists and organizing annual water loss management conference. To ameliorate the situation, WASPA, supported by her partners, has organized this year conference model to tripartite arrangement that brings together the private sector, technopreneurs, technology solutions, providers and advanced metering infrastructure, that is AMI, financing institutions, provide finance to plug the financial deficit and also crowd in the required finances to ensure the users, that is water service providers, acquire the technical solutions in AMI. And the second by second, and also by second, and a minute by minute monitoring water consumption, as demonstrated by some of the few companies that have adopted AMI technologies, that is Kipogard, DMA in Android, and that's the reason we brought this conference here in Android. Delegates at this afternoon is also leaving a testimony that we can manage water loss to acceptable levels with the adoption of this, with the adoption of all the AMI technologies, the DMA has non-revenue water 5%, and that's a learning point. Then somebody may ask, why do we have the manufacturers here, the financial institutions here, and also the suppliers of the smart meters here, and the utilities? Chief guest, if utilities get poor quality to the pipes, then it means that will be contributing to a lot of non-revenue water. And that's the reason I'm happy to report for the last 5 years, from the time that we started engaging the manufacturers, the quality of the pipes they are supplying to us has improved. And that's a testimony that at least as utilities, we can say that the local manufacturers, they are up to the task. We've seen that over the last 5 years. We've not seen any utility complain about HDP that was bought for any utility and then misbehaving. And I'm happy for the Dango, Doshi, and Top Pipe, and the rest for hearing our plea when we gave them the specifications. Financial institutions, they are coming on board because we know the resources are not enough. And that's the reason now we feel where we've reached, institutions, the water utilities should be allowed to go to the banks and get loans for the capital required so that we can reduce the non-revenue water. And I'm happy we've seen some of them here, and also led by one of us, that is Water Sector Trust Fund. Safaricom is coming on board because of the issue of the technology, so that now we can go a notch higher. We've seen for the areas that we are using the smart meters and we're also using the mobile phones, the efficiency and the collectedness of that area collection is almost 99%. And that's the reason now we want to embrace the Safaricom to bring their technology. Finally, smart meters, if we have a poor gadget that does not measure well, then with all the effort that we are doing, then also that will be utility. And that's the reason now, AdView and the rest who are here, we've seen the importance of smart meters, and we are going to work together so that at least we do away with the mechanical meters, which are easy to tamper with, because at least the one that are driven by propellers, we've seen some people, it's easy for them to open and tamper, unlike a smart meter, which is not easy to tamper. Furthermore, we appreciate and applaud Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation for supporting this edition. As a platinum sponsor, SCT has always done for the third edition as one of the solid fronts of the water loss management. We really appreciate the chief guest on behalf of my colleagues, the support every time we knock your office. The Minister of Water has really been standing on our side, even at the time when we faced COVID. They gave us a lot of money. We explore and persuade the ministry to expedite the take of revolving funds to the domiciled Water Sector Trust Fund by ensuring the required seed money that will enable Water Sector Trust Fund to sustain blended financing by locking in private sector financing. What we are trying to say is we want to have a revolving fund within the ministry, domiciled in the ministry, and this now will be managed by the Water Sector Trust Fund. whereby a utility can take a loan at a cheaper rate and then pay. That does not mean the utility will not be going to the commercial banks. We know they will not be having enough resources, and that's what we are pleading for the ministry to make sure they factor that in their budget. In the same breath, we appreciate and applaud the county government of Uasin Gishu and ENDOAS by hosting the 6th edition of WASPA Water Loss Management Conference 2022. And thank you, God bless WASPA, and God bless Kenya. Thank you very much.
One more round of applause, please. Thank you, Chief Guest. We can now transit to the water sector institutions, and I have CEO Willie Sombai, who will make his remarks and bring to us also the CEO of WASREB. Bwana Willis. Wapi makofi ya Willis?
The chief guest, our CAS, Dr. Andrew Timur, the Deputy Governor of this great county of Uasin Gishu, other CEOs present, CEO Keter, National Bank CEO, other dignitaries, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. As has been said, my name is Willie Sombai. I'm the acting CEO of Water Sector Trust Fund. And first, the guest of honor is to say WSTF is honored to be associated by the water companies, and in particular WASPA, that has been doing a very good job in terms of championing the interest of the water companies and by extension everyone in the whole country, because we know how important water is in our lives. I want to believe that everyone around the room understands the mandate of Water Sector Trust Fund, but I will simplify it in three lines or three very categorical functions. Water Sector Trust Fund looks for resources. Water Sector Trust Fund finances, and Water Sector Trust Fund monitors. So in a way, if you look at everyone around the room, we are connected in some way. We are connected that with the banks, we do financing together. Just to allay the fears is that Water Sector Trust Fund, at the point where we are, we work with the banks to do blended financing. We work with the water companies in terms of being key recipients of our resources. We also work with other players who are offering technologies, because when we provide the finances, they are then able to trade with the companies that we have financed. So we are proud to be associated with advanced metering infrastructure, because we know at the end of it, we are working together to reduce the financing gap. As a financing institution, we are more careful that resources are used, and so if the non-revenue now stands at 45%, we know what that translates in terms of money. So we are careful and we are happy that those resources are used appropriately. And those of us who have participated in various products, whenever we are doing the financial focus and cash flows, and non-revenue is playing a very important role and is always viewed as part of the revenue, that if by any chance through such strategies are managed, form part of the cash flows. Thirdly, is to say that WSTF is continuously evolving the various products which are responsive to the key challenges in the market. We look at our future being in commercial financing, and we look forward to working together with most of you in the house. I've always told the CEO WASPA that for everything that we do, we also want some responses, some support from mostly the water companies or the WSPs. The chair, our guest of honor, it may impress you to know that as we support the implementation of projects, there are certain demands that we make or certain expectations which also go in tandem or are in tandem with the sources where we get the money. So we always want to work together with CEO Keter to ensure that the governance issues which compromises the financing are resolved in good time. So it is our pleasure to continue working. You have had it with your ear, the guest of honor, the need for a revolving facility. We have proposed, we have put in the concept notes which are under consideration now at the ministry, and you have seen the appetite by various water companies. It is in no doubt that the water companies need resources, that the banks are willing to do good products which are responsive. With this, we will be able to support. The current coverage was lastly estimated, I think, at 60%. And we need to take it to the 80%, which is our objective. And there is no way we'll reach there if we don't have very practical and pragmatic steps into how we reach there. So, Bwana CEO, thank you so much. WSTF is always proud to be associated with WASPA. Our guest of honor, we respect and know that your office will take good care of the recommendations which are being made here. Thank you so much.
I'd requested you to do something.
Thank you for the reminder. It is now my pleasure to invite my counterpart, who is the one in charge of governance and everything to do with the manners of the companies. Bwana Keter, karibu sana.
Why don't we appreciate him, please?
Okay, thank you very much, Willis. Our chief guest, our CES, the Deputy Governor, the CC member for Water in Nakuru, who is also the chairperson for the water caucus in the counties, the CC also for Uasin Gishu, Mangeli, the chairperson for WASPA, and my colleague, the CEO, Water Sector Trust Fund, the CEO, WASPA, the MD for Elders, all protocols observed. Good evening. Yeah, I'm not forgetting our financial institutions, among others. Mine is going to be very brief, though the water loss issue really is still centered at the at WASREP. But I would like to thank our CES, particularly for the commitment of the ministry to join hands with the utilities and also the financial institutions and the development partners so that we can really address the monster of the water loss. I don't know why it only came to the mind of WASPA that this year we commemorate the issues to do with the water loss. The current figures, I think, though there's a drastic change, is that we are losing 10 billion in a year. That now translates to about 45%. The biggest undoing is that most of the utilities and also the county governments and even us in different positions, we continue denying that the monster of the water loss is so huge in the country. Because definitely it is now inhibiting on the access to water and also sanitation in the country. Why is it that we still continue having Kenyans taking pride of doing illegal connections in order to access water which has been treated and now extracting it for their own consumption without paying? So which means now, the only ones who are paying, you are paying on behalf of the others who don't want to pay. The deputy governor is here. We wish that either now or in the near future, if the political leadership will say, in our areas of jurisdiction, our citizens should not be in the forefront of being the biggest thieves in water, then definitely we are going to save that 10.4 billion. But the very minute you find our political leaders fearing that they are going to lose votes, if they, campaign against the water loss, then definitely we are not heading anywhere. We shall just be pestering our development partners, give us money in Kenya, yet we are keeping a blind eye when our citizenry are in the forefront in doing the illegal connections, among other things. And also we want to encourage particularly the county governments and the utilities. Let us stop the mentality of hiring quacks in the sense of, in terms of the plumbers. The type of skills which we have in most of the counties does not really go very well. WASPA really tried its level best to give the key performance indicators, but it's still a challenge. You may find that the utilities at the county level, they don't really want to, they really don't want to accept some of the governance issues, which we want to thank Kaspaki for sponsoring us with the governance handbook. It's good we have brought on board the our colleagues who are selling for us the pipes. Some of them are of poor quality, and also during the installations or during the issue of constructions, we would like to encourage also the waterworks development agencies. Please, let's work together so that at least we bring on board a stop to the great water loss. Kenyans are looking for access to water, safe water, water which is available. That is at least the number of pumping hours, and also water which is affordable and also non-discrimination, and we are happy that the utilities are adhering to that. Otherwise, I think, thanks, elders, we were here in April, and after 2 months, we are back here again. We do hope the other utilities will also borrow a leaf, and particularly Nyeri, who have really been doing very well. Thanks greatly for those who have participated in today's deliberations, and we do hope that we are going to put our heads together. We want to assure Kenyans that maybe in the next less than 41 days, we shall be having the general elections. The water utilities must continue offering water because that's a right to Wanchiku. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief guest, with your permission, allow me to draw you to page 12, and everybody in the room. We have the executive committee members of WASPA who facilitated this conference to happen. And with the indulgence of the chairman, I'll request them to stand to be seen. Chairman and your team, the members of EC of WASPA, kindly be upstanding. We are very gender sensitive. You can see MD Eldowas, MD Machakos, MD Kakwasco, MD Kahuti, and MD Kilifi. Kindly, let's clap for them. Then, as we were organizing in Nairobi, there was another team that wanasema kwa ground vitu ni different. There was another team on the ground led by MD here of Eldowas, and they are on page 13. Where are they? Kindly show up. The team from WASPA. I'll not mention your names, but come in, please, so that you are seen. Kujeni ndani tafadhali, kuna nafasi. Bwana Chief Guest, that is the team that assisted us in organizing the conference. That is the team. Let us appreciate them, please. It is from the WASPA Secretariat, and I was also working remotely. I was in the US. At times, my body was in the US and my soul was in Kenya. So I used to work at night because it is day here, and then I work during the day because it is night here. So I had it rough, but I think I'll recover. We appreciate them. Thank you. Now, without much ado, I want to invite the representative of the CEC Eldowas to just say jambo and bring in the chair of the CEC caucus in the interest of time. We appreciate him as he comes. Then the chair of the CEC caucus, Dr. Engineer, I don't know where Dr. Feds, but Dr. Engineer Festus Ngeno, it's important we recognize you properly. You will bring in the DG, then the DG will bring the chief guest in that order.
Our chief guest, the CAS in charge of the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, His Excellency the Deputy Governor, was in Gishu County. The chair to the CEC's caucus, Engineer Ngeno, the chair of WASPA, all protocol observed. Good evening. My name is Simon Kemei. I'm the chief officer in charge of the Department of Water, Environment, Natural Resources, Tourism and Wildlife Management, the county government of Uasin Gishu, and I'm here to represent my CEC, Ms. Mary Njogu, who is not with us today. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Uasin Gishu County, the city of champions, and we are very proud to all this conference here. And as the chair WASPA said, we are looking forward also to having more in this county. As counties, we still carry a lot of burden in terms of provision of water, especially in the rural areas where we don't have water service providers running those areas. And the counties are committed towards making sure that all the people within the rural areas get access to clean and potable water. As we are all aware, counties still battles with small schemes, and we really want to learn a lot from WASPA, because WASPA has several utilities that are as old as more than 30 years. And as counties, we really want to learn the best practices. And today, during this conference, we really want to learn the experiences from the other water service providers across the county. In a minute, allow me to read the word of message from the CCM in charge of water and environment was in Gishu County, Ms. Mary Njogu. It's my honor to welcome all of you to the 6th WASPA Water Loss Management Conference held here in Eldoret, was in Gishu County. The Ministry of Water, Environment, Natural Resources, Tourism and Wildlife Management has developed structures which will see all dams across the county desilted and also drilling of boreholes in areas where there is no water bodies in an effort to meet the water demands of the increasing population across our counties. For this reason, therefore, we as a county want to assure all of us our commitment in terms of supporting our water service provider, Eldowas, and probably maybe in future we are going to have one, through the processes that WASRA will guide us in developing a rural water company. This forum will present a platform for all stakeholders in water and sanitation sector to share best practices, deliberate on prevailing challenges in the sector while formulating strategies to leverage on advanced metering infrastructure. And in coming up with strategies to reduce non-revenue water, which is translating to about 11 billion annually. And also to accelerate the realization of Sustainable Development Goal number 6,
on universal coverage on water and sanitation. Wishing you success in the conference. Karibuni sana to the City of Champions. It's my pleasure now to invite the CC for Nakuru is also the chair to the caucus of the Council of Governors, Engineer Festus Ngeno, who also happens to have been my classmate in college. Karibu, Engineer.
Maybe before the CEC speaks, because I know once the chief guest speaks, it will be final and closed. After the closure, we all go to the tent and we'll spend there around 30 minutes. Then we will transit, we will come back here. This is where the cocktail will be. So we go down, there is a health break. After this session, we go nyuma ya tent. Tukutane nyuma ya tent, sindio? Unaingia exhibition alafu hapo nyuma ya tent. You know what happens there. I don't want to explain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CEO. And indeed, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Kemea was my classmate. We've known each other for the last 22 years. So we were together in campus and we've worked together in the sector for such a time. The chief guest, CS Dr. Andrew Twimur, the Deputy Governor was Ngishu County, Honorable His Excellency Honorable Daniel Chemno, CEO Water was Ngishu County, CEO WASREP and Water Sector Trust Fund, the Chairman WASPA, the CEO WASPA, the Managing Directors of the various utilities, development partner, CEO of the financial institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Festus Ngeno is my name. I'm the CC in charge of water, sanitation, energy, and natural resources at the county government of Nakuru, the county of unlimited opportunities, and privileged also to be the chair of the caucus of CCs at the Council of Governors. Chief guest, mine will be very brief. As we look at the 6th WASPA Laws Management Conference, I want to really appreciate WASPA. I've been part of the team some time back, and looking at the strides that they made, we want personally and the caucus want to congratulate WASPA for hosting the 6th Water Laws Management Conference, and also congratulate Ngishu County and the Eldoas for hosting the event. We appreciate the strides that you made in this regard. As mentioned, NRW is a big issue. It's a governance issue. Last week at the launch of the Impact 14, as CEO was mentioned, we were informed that the laws at 2021 is at 45%, which translates to around 10.5 billion shillings, or around 13 billion liters of water that we lose through non-revenue water. In a global scale and around the world, we are talking about a financial loss of up to almost US 14 billion shillings. And of course, you know the effects of non-revenue water, and especially when the financial institutions are here, looking at the various aspects, the financial loss, the technical, and the commercial, and I think that's the reason why you are here to discuss these issues. Chief guest, mine will be just focused on the governance and mention that at the end of it all, it becomes a governance issue. And I think WASREP has been very, very forthright in terms of guiding the sector in how then the utilities are supposed to be run. And especially on this regard, WASPA has, and the team, the MDs, the responsibility of non-revenue water is no longer a technical or commercial or anything. It rests at the shoulders of the head of the institution. And therefore, from where we sit as a caucus, we keep on providing the enabling environment as county governments, and also providing you with the strategic leadership that you require. I don't want to take my time, but CS, now that you are here, just 2-3 policy issues as that comes on to mind as we look at the transitions that are happening again in the 9th of August, that the water sector has been very turbulent in terms of when the elections have happened, but we want to urge the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, and I think Keter CEO is here, that the regulators should be stabilized to be able to stabilize the sector as we transition. I know quite a number of counties will be having new leadership, and therefore we urge the ministry to make sure that the sector is stable. Secondly, CAS is to mention about the sector issues and the coordination. We still urge, and I did mention last Friday, that the operationalization of the frameworks, intergovernmental framework that was signed between the Council of Governors or county governments and the Ministry of Water and Sanitation be operationalized. This is going to stabilize the sector even when there are elections. Asset transfer plan, I know when we are talking here about the non-revenue water, there is still pending issues on assets to be transferred to the county governments. That needs to be fast-tracked, and that lies at the squarely at the shoulders of the county, of the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Lastly, CS is an issue that is emerging, and we want to really take note of this, and we did mention last Friday again at the launch of the impact that we are increasingly urging the Ministry of Water and Sanitation to not, how do I put it, not get involved in the aspect of trying to cassette the waterworks development agencies as water service providers. It is an issue that we've taken with great concern. The water service provision is a devolved function, and we want the utilities to play that role. When we cassette waterworks development agencies as service providers, it becomes very difficult for us to operate under the devolved system of governance. And Section 77 of the Water Act provides that it is only the county water services providers are supposed to provide that service, or joint authorities. And the state entity should be supported and facilitated to implement the projects under the PPP. I think there is a very strong eye that is coming from waterworks development agencies, especially on this issue of the loans that have not been paid. We would not want to have that conversation. We have had a task force that was consulted by the ministry, and we made very serious recommendations on the same. So we would not want to have a situation whereby we are again lockout between the county governments and the Ministry of Water and Sanitation in regard to the role of waterworks development agencies. We want them to develop the infrastructure, and over to the counties and the utilities, and we move on that matter. And of course, you are aware about the various litigations that are still pending, and especially on the Water Act 2016, petition number 523, which of course has not been dealt with. And therefore, we want to ask that the regulator advises the ministry properly on that matter, because it's something that has come to our attention. And to, again, CAS on this conditional liquid support grant that you supported the utilities through the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, and of course the two water sector institutions, WASREP and the Water Sector Trust Fund. We appreciate as county governments the support that you gave to the utilities, and I think that has been emphasized. But for us as county governments, the Water Sector Trust Fund and WASREP have been close to our hearts, and these are the two institutions that we work very closely. And we urge, as Willis mentioned, if there are any funding or monies at the ministry, kindly channel them through Water Sector Trust Fund. It gets to us as county governments, it gets to us as water services providers. I want to congratulate WASPA, once again, the county government of Uasin Gishu, and ELDOAS for hosting this event. With those few remarks, it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency the Deputy Governor, Honorable Daniel Chemno, to make his remarks. Karibu.
These are my factory settings. You know, with the COVID, we may sometimes miss to say hi to each other because we don't look natural. So I've decided to remove my mask temporarily because the area has been sanitized. I still believe that we need to put on masks. And those who are seated down there, I'll request you to do the same, because as we work out to supply water to everybody, it is good for you to be alive so that you can enjoy. All protocols observed. Dr. Toimur, Dr. Toimur, all protocols observed. Because the list is very long, I hope you will accept that salutation so that we can move fast. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to Uasin Gishu County and hope that all of you have had a nice stay so far. We are happy to host you during the 6th WASPA Water Loss Management Conference here in Eldoret, and I say karibuni. Let me start by saying a big thank you to the organizers of this conference and to everyone present here today. The subject in front of us is not a small one. Water is an important element of life. Without it, there would be no people, animals, and plants. Even microscopic bacteria cannot survive without water. As Ms. Auden said, thousands have lived without love. No one has done without water. As we bring our minds together to deliberate on the prevailing challenges and share what we consider best practices to adapt to manage water loss, I want to call everyone in the water sector and all the stakeholders to play their part as we aim to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which stresses on clean water and sanitation for all. In fact, the UN has pronounced 2018 to 28 as the International Decade for Action with the theme Water and Sustainable Development. Moreover, the second UN Conference on Water will be held next year to review the progress of the International Decade for Action as the centrality of water in achieving the 2030 SDG becomes clearer. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Global Citizen, 1 in every 3 African citizens are impacted by water scarcity, and about 400 million people in sub-Saharan Africa lack access to basic drinking water. It further reveals that citizens in sub-Saharan Africa travel about 30 minutes on an average daily to access water. Before devolution came into existence, most residents of Uasin Gishu used to trek more than 3 kilometers in search of water, and my government has worked to change this with the distance to water points being reduced to less than a kilometer now. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 43, guarantees reasonable standards of sanitation and freedom from hunger and safe water in adequate quantities. The new constitution further obligates county governments to review the efficiency and commercial viability of their existing licensed water utilities, while the Water Act 2016 requires the local governments to establish water service providers. To this end, I can confirm that, and we are proud to be the principal shareholder of Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company, and are happy with the strides they have made so far. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, when we took over office in 2013, we set out to ensure water gets closer to the residents across Uasin Gishu County and drilled at least one borehole in every ward. Through this initiative, we have improved accessibility of water to communities and public utilities such as hospitals, dispensaries, and schools across the county, and we have used solar power that has lowered the maintenance cost and sustainability of these projects. In 2018, we launched the Uasin Gishu Water Policy in partnership with the Kenya Water and Sanitation Civil Society Network. The policy gives a clear roadmap for water agenda in the county and acts as a benchmark for developing other key regulations, guidelines, and acts in addressing water issues in the county. Providing reliable water services in a sustainable, equitable way involves a sustainable investment in ongoing operations, maintenance, and rehabilitation costs, and this requires proper systems in place. In 2022, Impact 14 report by Water Sanitation and Regulatory Board, WASREP, shows that non-revenue water improved from 47% to 45%, reducing the value of water loss from 12 billion to 10 billion during the same year under review. In my county, we have managed to reduce non-revenue water from annual average of 42 last year to 39 this year. And the trends are showing much improvements, where we are likely to reach a benchmark of 30% in next year. This is in part attributed to adoption of advanced metering infrastructure. Through this, among others, we see Uasin Gishu County realizing its aspiration of water and sanitation in the not so long future. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why we must encourage formulation and implementation of strategies that leverage advanced metering infrastructure to foster operational efficiencies and cost savings in the water sector. This modern infrastructure also acts as a surveillance component as it generates data and alerts that may indicate system contamination or tampering. Additionally, data gathered through the meters can also be relayed to the end user or customer to give them more insight into their water usage. With these data points and insights, utilities can improve messaging on water conservation and show how the customer compares to their neighbors in water usage. I would like to thank the Water Service Providers Association for hosting this conference in Uasin Gishu and look forward to more collaborations in the areas of water and sanitation access. All sponsors and guests to this support for their support in making this day a success. As I conclude, I want once again to invite you all to make this conference as fruitful, and I'm looking forward to seeing innovations that will come out of this forum that will help in minimization of water loss in Kenya and beyond. I therefore take this auspicious occasion to declare this forum opened. Just as I conclude, I want to request that before the guests go back to their area, this region is an emerging tourist destination. We have good jewels that have not been explored. I know many of you know little about the Rift Valley. 30 kilometers from here, you will see the best place where Rift Valley can be seen from the moon. So just make a point of stopping there and see at Kerio Escarpment. Down at the valley, we have Rimoy Game Reserve. It is popularly called the maternity of elephants. They all come from Mount Elgon to deliver there. And you'll get very strong, huge elephants, not the emaciated ones that have been suffering from food shortage down there. And this can enrich your love for nature. And don't worry, you take that menace to Lodwa. You have uninterrupted hundreds of kilometers of white beaches with no beach boys. And to the west, you have the Nandi Forest, which borders Kakamega. Excellent place for bird watching. So you can improve the knowledge of this country by spending your last days and just visiting these places. And do you worry about our facilities? Do we say? Thank you very much. I take this opportunity to welcome CAS, Honorable Dr. Tuimuru. Karibu.
Kindly let us all be upstanding.
Let's all be upstanding as of course, we welcome our chief guest. It's time, of course. I've heard people say good things about Kenya. If you are really proud Kenyan, jivunie kuwa Kenya. Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda. Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda. Kenya yetu tunayoipenda. Yeah, with all due respect, when I give you start, go back to the podium. You just know that how
Daniel Chebno, all the chairmen and the CEOs of the various organizations who are here, particularly WASPA, who are hosting us here, and of course, Elderwas, who are also the hosts here today. All other participants who are with us. I won't forget my friend, CC, who is always wanting so much from the ministry, Ngeno, my friend, and everyone else who is here with us today. Good afternoon or good evening. I know the cocktail is near. I know there are many other goodies. You have been told by the Daniel Chebno. He didn't also tell you that nightlife in Wasingishu is also very good, but make sure you take care of So because you've taken a lot of time, CEO, I'll take 1 hour so that I'll eat into some of your entertainment time. Anyway, greetings from the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, particularly the Cabinet Secretary, James Masheria, who was supposed to be here, but is engaged in, you remember, he's handling 2 ministries, very key ministries, so he wouldn't find time to be here. But here we are, and we will do the job that needs to be done. So we are really delighted as a ministry to be here this afternoon for this 6th WASPA water loss management meeting, which is advancing the use of metering, of course, hosted by WASPA, ELDOWAS, and the county government of Uasin Gishu. So we're really delighted to be here. Of course, the theme of this year, which is deployment of advanced metering infrastructure in water loss management, is meant to accelerate realization of not only the Sustainable Goal 6, which has been mentioned here, but also the Vision 2030, which we hope and pray that by that time there will be universal water coverage in this country. That means 100%. It's now about 67%. And also our sanitation coverage will have moved from the current about 26% to at least about 80%. Through this conference, key stakeholders in the water and sanitation industry will of course share good practices, deliberate on prevailing challenges, and formulate strategies to leverage advanced metering infrastructure as a technological solution towards effective management of non-revenue water. Going through the exhibition this afternoon, I want to really thank all the various companies who are here, who are involved in partnering with the water sector. I've seen very new and advanced technology, and it's always evolving. The last time we were here, we also had an exhibition, but we are seeing more and more new technologies that are coming in, and this is good for the sector. Of course, this symposium comes at a time when Kenya continues to experience high levels of non-revenue water loss. I don't want to repeat that. It's about 45%. It's about 10.6 billion Kenya shillings. I also learned today that that water can run Nairobi for 6 months, which really, if you come to think about it, it's a lot of money. 10.6 billion shillings is actually a lot of money. The main reasons contributing to the high levels of non-revenue water loss, of course, are largely, they've also been mentioned here, commercial and governance. We, as a ministry, do infrastructure sometimes and hand over to the water service providers. But then the first thing you hear is it going to be sustainable? But I ask them, it will be sustainable if you can reduce non-revenue water. And that is the only way to do it. And I'm happy that WASREP have introduced a handbook on governance, which I hope has been given to all the water sector, water service providers. This will guide you on how to really manage your water service providers, your companies, so that you don't get into losses. And I want to single out Nyeri County and I think Meru, who have managed to reduce their non-revenue to at least less than 20%. So it can actually be done. Poor installation of meters, interference, like reversals and bypasses, errors in meter reading, and data analysis malpractices are some of the human factors affecting the effectiveness of metering systems. Of course, conventional metering systems have been used in Kenya up to date to aid and determination of non-revenue water. These systems use water meters that display their reading on the meters themselves and have no additional functionality. Meter reading data from conventional water meters is obtained physically by visiting each meter and taking manual reading. Of course, this is time consuming. You don't get the exact meter reading, and it leads to many other things, as I've mentioned. Data collection process of a conventional metering system is expensive, prone to errors, and time consuming. Billing to customers is usually conveyed through their postal addresses, and this requires long periods. You can imagine when they post your bill, and by the time you pay, they've already come and disconnected your bill. So what we are introducing now will be more effective and, of course, more efficient. The conventional metering systems can, however, be improved through automation of meter reading, data transfer, computation, and billing processes to produce accurate bills in time and eliminate billing on estimates. With automation, of course, customers are able to get and pay for their water consumption bills in time. Online registration of complaints as well as checking and querying of water bills is also possible. Payment of bills is made through payment platforms, and courtesy of Safaricom, thank you so much. M-Pesa has revolutionized how we trade in this country, and it's really something we must appreciate. The ability to access and pay the water bills remotely improves our water utility service efficiency. At the same time, the amount of non-revenue water reduces to as revenue generation and collection improves. As non-revenue goes down, your income goes up. So there, you can see what really happens. Just to mention other ways in which smart water meters can be used in management of non-revenue water, which include elimination of unread meters arising from gate locks. Sometimes you find gates locked. Elimination of estimate billing due to static meters. Increased metering accuracy. Storage capacity, which enables them to log multiple measurements and archive them. Ability to program new functions into the meters through remote upgrades. Automatic tamper detection and alarms can be set on the meters. Corruption and, of course, staff-customer collusion is minimized. You know, ladies and gentlemen, that corruption is killing this country. If we could reduce corruption by 50%, this country would be very far. And I hope on August 9th, you will elect leaders that will steer this country to the next level. It is really up to you. It is you who have the vote. And you know the leaders. I don't want to go to politics. With regard to HR development, okay, while transition to automation is a good move for water companies, it also requires finances for infrastructure and human resource capacity development. In terms of infrastructure, funds are required for procurement and installation, operation, maintenance, and upgrading, and that's why we have banks like National Bank here and other institutions, Water Sector Trust Fund, to help in that regard. With regard to HR development, successful implementation, maintenance, and improvement of smart meters require corresponding technical knowledge to handle complexities in configuration of hardware, software as well, supplement the lack of experience, local technical staff. The existing staff need also to be prepared to advance, to embrace the technology and promote ownership and acceptance to facilitate a smooth and successful transition into this automation. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, smart metering technology is a worthy investment in the management of non-revenue water, which WSPs should venture into through partnerships or self-financing. The investment returns are immediate in terms of reduced non-revenue water. Elder was just presented here and told us how much the revenue collection has gone up, so it can be done. Majority of water service providers, however, do not have adequate resources to finance non-revenue management activities, but the situation is exacerbated by the fact that most counties are not supportive of their water service providers. And I'm sure you agree with that. There are some counties that don't even want to know what the service provider is doing. All they ask is, where is the water? But they must really support them. This notwithstanding, these companies are expected to operate commercially viable entities and should therefore be able to survive with or without assistance. Water utilities should therefore explore other avenues of financing their infrastructural developments and management of non-revenue water. Some of these alternatives, of course, include commercial bank loans, leveraging on the public-private partnerships. And of course, this has been made easy now. The Treasury, the National Treasury has made this one easy. It's not like long time where it took years and years. And of course, performance-based contracts. As a ministry, we will be supportive of all the water service providers and of course through WASPA, as we did particularly recently during COVID and other situations. And really, I want to emphasize here that water is very key. I don't know whether you people, when you sit there, you know that water is a key enabler of the industry of this country. You cannot do anything without water. You name it. If you want to go to health, you need water. You want to go to industry, you need water. You want to go to any other industry, you need water. And that is why the Ministry of Water is a very strategic ministry, is a very key ministry. And I want to really thank Eldowas because they have started what we call Linda Maji Mtaani. Namna hiyo? Is that correct? Linda Maji Mtaani. And it has worked very well. If they arrest you, if somebody reports that there's water which is being stolen here without payment, I'm told they fine almost 50,000 shillings. And it has worked. And it's interesting that I was hearing today that even very key institutions, which I'm not going to name here, have been involved in stealing the water. So let's be, that also comes again with integrity. I just want to say that as a ministry, we will support with the policies. Ngeno, Engineer Ngeno, I have heard what you said. We will, of course, look into those areas. And of course, the area of rotational, the availability of funding through the Water Sector Trust Fund is something also we are very keen working with the other finance institutions to make sure that the Water Sector Trust Fund is actually funded, or they get money that can be loaned or given as grants to the institutions. So I want to stop here and just say that let's continue working together in this industry, which is very key. It can be done, like it has been shown by other water service providers. So as a conclusion, I want to say that we will support you as a ministry in every aspect so that we improve the water coverage in this country, which, as I said before, we would like to see universal water coverage by the year 2030. That's what our Vision 2030 entails. And of course, improve also sanitation for our people. And this is actually going on as a ministry. If I digress a little bit, we are involved in about 685 projects, both small and medium and large. Like here in Wasingishi, for instance, we are doing the Kipkaren Dam, or the Kipkaren water supply, which has delayed. We have plans to do the Kimumu one, and many others. The water, under the water, what we call the sustainable water, towns water and sanitation program. So thank you so much, and may God bless you. Enjoy your evening, and the 3 days you'll be here. I wish you very well, so that we come up with strategies that can help us move the water sector. Asanteni sana.
One more round of applause, please. I'll request the chairman to lead the dignitaries. There is some short interview outside there about what is going on. And as the dignitaries leave, the rest, chairman, you're free to lead. I'll give some announcements. We are meeting behind the tent, and the meeting will last 40 minutes. So you have the time to go through the exhibition, sample the technologies, as you also have the health break. So we expected here by 18:45. Is that in order? 18:45.